What up, perps? Kid Copious. Back in effect. Purple State Party. You know what we're doing here. We're repping America, the center, common sense, and freedom. Right now, freedom really to me means, the freedom of choice. Really, that's really what it is. But we're not allowed to choose policies anymore, it seems. It seems that on both sides of the fence, they're just doing what they want to do. They're catering to the extremes. Name of this episode is When We Were 13. When we were 13 colonies, we had to come together to make life fair for the citizens of the colonies against Britain. But that involved compromise among the states. And that's not what we're seeing anymore. We're not seeing that spirit of compromise. We're not seeing that spirit of pulling together as Americans for the good of America. We have an administration that's basically just turning us over to the Chinese. They're allowing that. The rich elitists have taken over. We're going to see some examples of this. We're going to see examples of how these stupid laws are passed down. But we're also going to see a law that I really support. I think is a great stride forward. And it comes from the Republicans down in Texas. We'll get a little bit more into that. But hey, it's raining outside. The birds are chirping. So let's get this thing up popping. All right, so this popped up last weekend. No labels to hold nominating convention in April, Joe Lieberman says. This is from Politico. David Cohen wrote this article. I want to try to give more credit where credit's due. That's something new. Whatever. This is supposed to be a third party. I have a little bit of trepidation with it. I mean, Joe Lieberman did run with, I believe, Gore on the Democrat ticket. Probably more of a moderate Democrat. But again, I would rather have a moderate Democrat in office than just this blind, deaf, dumb fool that we have right now, being led around by probably Barack Obama and the so-called World Collective or the New World Order or however you want to phrase it. I don't know if all that's true, but what I do know right now is that the left has gone far left. Okay, they're not moved towards the far left. They're there. They're in the far left camp now. We'll see more examples of that. But Lieberman was saying here, our plan is to only run if we think we have a chance to win realistically. And look, we just finished a poll of 10,000 voters in the 8 battleground states, and we gave them the choice of Trump, Biden, or a moderate independent. And 63% say they're open to a moderate independent third choice. Yes. I mean, gay rights, gun rights, we need those kinds of things. Parental rights in the schools, yeah. Let's teach about inclusion. Let's teach that. So let's teach away the hate. I'm all for that. But to try to do that with this pattern of CRT, teach everybody that white people are evil, and then turn around with gender theory and say, hey, white people, if you don't want to be the oppressor anymore, just choose a new category of sexuality. That's not what we need. We need people to be open. But what we really need when it comes to schools, be honest, is we need teachers to teach the important things, not social shit. I don't remember learning a lot of social stuff. I learned my history about Martin Luther King. Martin Luther King was just taught in history and social science. And I turned out fine. But we need that. But you see right here what happens. Democrats have characterized no labels as an effort that could lead to the return to the White House by Trump. And this is coming from Annie Custer, Custer's last stand, from New Hampshire, Democrat. Let me be clear. No labels is trying to use a false message of unity to sow division. Right, because you don't want that. Division is all the Democrats do right now. Gay, straight, black, white. Us, them. They are the them. Their plan to run a third-party ticket in 2024 will pave the path for the most extreme far-right candidate to win the White House, namely former President Trump. Trump leaned into the far right. I don't know how far right he was. I don't find policies that were far right, okay? I see policies that the far right cheered, but that doesn't necessarily mean much. But then again, what we do see once Roe versus Wade fell was a slew of anti-abortion. So, that on that particular topic, they're very disappointed in how the Republicans. But Trump didn't necessarily do that. Maybe he appointed the people, but he didn't do it. Because what we're seeing right now is the trickle-down Bidenomics. He's getting rich, okay? He made a bunch of deals with foreign countries, and now he's paying them back. I'm sorry, but green energy flows through China. And the rising cost of the chaos that he has created is shitting all over the middle class. And down below, the poor, they're not doing any better. When you threaten to disable an industry, that industry will respond by trying to make as much money as possible. Look at the animal kingdom. Lots of animals will try to kill you right before they kill you. They themselves are killed. Yeah, it's the way it works. But that's what he's doing. He's just shitting all over everybody. He's not trying. Whatever. City of Chicago sues murder victims for not getting out of the way of bullets. And maybe it's naive to expect this out of our political leaders, but I would argue that that's the way it should be. Confront the problem with honesty. Doesn't matter whose fault it is. It doesn't matter whose policies have failed. If a policy has failed, change it. I would have more respect for you if you did that. Great, you tried something. You've tried to lessen the incarceration of black people. That's great. But the way you went about it was wrong and it needs to be changed. Simply handcuffing the police is not a solution. Gun control legislation is not the answer. You see it in Chicago. They get the guns from somewhere. Bad guys will always get guns because bad guys will sell bad guys guns because there's money to be made. That's the way it works, folks. FBI seizes Jaden's backpack in pre-dawn raid. Yeah, he had the Gadsen flag, don't tread on me, this one. And he was thrown out of school because apparently that's a symbol of slavery, which is categorically false. That it's the opposite of it, really, from an American standpoint. That flag was popularized by Christopher Gadsen in 1775. It was a battle flag. It was a warning to the British to not trample on the colonial rights and to try to treat the colonies fair. The colonies felt like they were overtaxed, blah, 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 blah. That should all be covered in your history books. If it's not, the smart thing to do is watch and read everything you can on the American Revolution, especially the lead up to the actual combat. It was inspired by a 1754 recruitment political cartoon woodcut here. Join or die. And it's the different parts of the states, the 13 colonies, New England, up at the head there, Boston and Massachusetts, those people. And then follow the coast down to the tip of the snake's tail. That's where the snake comes from. This was Ben Franklin talking about unity. We need to be on the same page with a lot of this stuff. We need to have more cooperation. I understand that sometimes it's hard to give up a point, a hill. Instead of dying on that hill, give up the hill. Breathe. But a good compromise is where both sides walk away a little disappointed, because that's what it has to be. This symbol, the Gadsen flag, is been used throughout our history, and it's even used in other places, Argentina. It's not always used to represent the greatest things. It was once used with a pride flag behind it. Back when there were guardians walking the streets to try to help protect gays who were under attack leaving bars and nightclubs. Because that's how it used to look here in America, folks. This is a symbol of the citizenry of the United States of America. And I think if you are honest and look at what's going on, and this applies to both sides, you'll see that the government has become an elite ruling cabal. I don't know if this man is the answer. Donald Trump's trial for election interference set to begin in time to interfere with election. That's what's going on with that. Whatever side of the fence you're on, this should bother you, that this is what our political parties have resorted to. It's no longer come up with a good plan. Speaking of good plans, gone wrong, the Free Beacon, Megan Blonder. Democrats give a foreign company big tax breaks to build wind turbines. It may scrap the projects anyway. Yeah. Because they're taking a large hit. Because it's expensive. You have to build a lot of infrastructure to get started. The problem I have with the way we're going about it right now is we have a capitalistic society. And it works. Free market sees a hole in the market and fills it. That's the way it works. Green energy, we're not quite there yet. We're trying to go big. We're trying to scale it up before we've even started with step 1. We've really moved on to like step 12 right now. And we're only at 1 or 2. You know, Biden's support for failed green energy companies extends beyond his presidency. You know, Solandria, whatever, received, $500 million from the Obama Biden administration, and they went on to declare bankruptcy. The technology's not there. Simply buying the parts on the cheap from China doesn't work. There's tariffs, there's taxes, there's regulations. Get in the way. But what really worries me, right here, talking about earlier in the month, the electric vehicle company that Biden repeatedly promoted, okay? Their stock, Proterra stock, tumbled 60%, but only after Energy Secretary Jennifer Granholm sold her shares in the company for $1.6 million. There's your corruption, folks. See, that Energy Secretary, and I'm sure a lot of them, invested in Proterra, and Biden pumped it up. This is insider trading. This is market manipulation. I mean, I'm sorry, it is. She has a vested interest in the company that her boss is promoting. Well, what else could that be? This is a great one from Fortune. Irina Ivanova. Tech heavyweights dissatisfied with San Francisco are planning their own enclaves, following a tradition among wealthy Americans. Yeah, they are building a city 60 miles away. Well, they're going to try. Tens of thousands of new homes, a large solar energy farm, orchards with over 1 million new trees, and over 10,000 acres of new parks and open space. Great, we can send the homeless to live there, right? No, it's going to be a college town, okay? College towns where frat boy antics, sexual assaults, and crimes reign. No. This is going to be like a gated community, all right? Only certain people are getting in. There will be a wall. There will be a guard. But they will continue to vote for the people who ruin San Francisco and are against police and border walls. But they themselves will have them. Guaranteed, if they ever get to make it. One of them, Maurice, the head chair of Sequoia Capital, lambasted the city's drug issues and housing costs, decrying open-air drug markets and homeless encampments. He took aim at the deserted downtown. These are the people you put in power. All right? You elected these people. You campaigned for these people. You gave the campaigns money. Right? Right. Oh, look, it's housing costs that make it prohibitively expensive. Yeah, you know why? Because in areas where people used to be able to buy homes, You found, oh, I kind of like that area. That would make a good summer house. And so you buy up all the stuff along the coast. Places in Oregon and Washington that used to be by the coast and cheap, no. You drive it up. I mean, he says, we moved out of San Francisco to Menlo Park a year ago after 2 meth addicts broke into our house while we were home and robbed us. We didn't want to leave San Francisco. But with kids, it seems irresponsible to stay in a place where drug addicts commit home invasions to the point where they're called frequent flyers. 7,300 break-ins in the city last year. Up almost 1,300 from 2021. Spiraling. And you're going to continue, Friedman. You're gonna continue to vote for these people. You will vote for Gavin Newsom. You will put that motherfucker in the White House if you can. Because now you're just going to move away from the destroyed city. This is the problem I have. This is the biggest problem I have. The way the rich people try to pretend that they are on our side. When they fuck up the city, they just move and build their own enclave. Yeah, they do. Tesla was going to do it too. What worries me, though, about like what Tesla was talking about doing is the whole idea of worker housing. When they mentioned it in the other project up by San Francisco. You know, if your home is tied to your job has a lot of power. You know, and, you know, they're buying up these properties. And as a former Solano supervisor said to the paper, people with money have their own goals. It's clear they have no sensitivity to the local community. The damage they are doing to family farms, to people who have known each other for generations, is unbelievable. Yeah, they're just destroying livelihoods. They're buying up farmland. Farmers aren't just people who are in a business. All right? This is their lifestyle. This is their life. This is their identity. And yeah, I'm sure you're giving them fair market value, but I bet you anything they are out there trying to cheat these landowners at every corner. And, you know, reiterating the point, the Bay Area is beginning to resemble chaotic and politically divided Southern California. Yeah. The San Francisco Bay Area has enjoyed economic and political dominance over Southern California, but the region's once united front is cracking as a recent dispute over toll increases revealed. Yeah, okay. So what that was about here was during the pandemic and now the work from home, which, keep in mind, most work from home people are white collar. It's pretty hard to have a blue collar job working from home. Just saying, not all, but most. So what they wanted to do was increase $1.50 per vehicle toll on Bay Area bridges. $1.50 there, $1.50 back. That's $3 a day you're paying into the city, right? And it was going to bail out the BART. So the people who drive have to bail out the train. Now let's look at the two regions. From rough parity in the 1970s, the state's two major regions diverged sharply. The Bay Area evolved into the global capital of high technology, creating immense wealth that propped up the state's entire economy and provided an enormous bounty of tax revenue. Meanwhile, Southern California, particularly LA, struggled to absorb millions of immigrants and fold them into an economy that sputtered when the aerospace industry virtually collapsed after the Cold War ended. Yeah, you know, that's where California used to make a lot of its money, especially here in Southern California. I know I do work for a lot of these companies. There's still a lot of aerospace here, but it's all government contracts, federal government contracts, you know. But over the last, in the last 5 decades, the Bay Area developed strong regional organizations that promoted a consensus vision, right? Despite the Bay Area's ultra-liberal political image, its leaders shared a pragmatic mindset and didn't let cultural differences interfere with the job. Meanwhile, we saw the recordings, the corruption. I mean, I think 4 out of 5 of our council members are up on corruption charges. And you have you have some of our city council members caught on tape really saying pretty much just racist shit. But that's what's happening now up north. Instead of coming together, they're fighting over this toll, and it's starting to break down into the little check boxes that the liberals love so much. The blacks, the browns, the whites, the this, the that's, right? It's breaking down up there because, again, it's real easy to charge people $3 a day to cross a bridge so that they could go to work. When you're talking about people who are making good money, $3 a day doesn't really make much of a difference, right? Those are the people who are working from home. So now you're starting to see people come up in arms because maybe they're not as represented in the work at home group. All right, so Corey Walker, Daily Caller, brings us this one. 60 damn years. Victims advocate rails against Dems for chasing ghosts of slavery past amid crumbling infrastructure. When the Dems ran out, I hate saying the word Dems, when the left ran out of Donald Trump excuses, they, of course, pivoted to slavery and climate change, okay? So this is Madeline Brame. She ripped the Democrats for continuously bringing up America's slavery past rather than addressing basic issues African Americans face. This was on the Ingram angle. She said that their approach to crime and infrastructure has set the black community back. She describes herself as a 40-year loyal Democrat, but she started questioning the party loyalty after her son was killed in New York City. She added that he did not receive justice for the murder. Under who? Yeah, that's right. Braggity brag. Right. See where this story goes? People like that. Again, backed by Soros. Oh, okay. Soros gave a bunch of money to people who then backed Bragg, okay? And then I, like everyone else, all you have to do is step out of your front door and you see the dilapidated housing, the failing schools, the crime, the poverty, the runaway drug use, the abortion, the open-air self-injection sites, all of that stuff. And that's when she started to change her mind, started to come, to realize that just because she was black and Democrat, she doesn't need to vote for them. But we continue to give our votes away for nothing in return. So that's one of the primary reasons she voted for Trump in 2020. She then changed her political affiliation because she has conservative values. And what are those conservative values? As she states it, I believe in God, nuclear family, and country. God and country are the talisman to the left. You hold that up and they run. They need to destroy both of those things, God and country. And it all starts with destroying the family. If you believe those things, and it doesn't mean you have to believe in God as a deity, God as a philosophy. That's fine. You're still there. She goes on to say, but because I'm black, I was told that's what Democrats are supposed to vote. They're destroying the very fabric, the infrastructure where black people live, and they continue to give them votes. We saw earlier, rich people are fleeing San Francisco, going to build their own civilization, but they'll still vote Democrat. That is ridiculous. So Laura asked her about Biden's talking point that white supremacy is the greatest threat to the black community. And this is what Brahim said. It's a good perspective. This is what I hear when I'm out on the streets talking to people. The biggest threat to America right now is that they continue to impose on us, and we continue to chase the ghost of slavery, and we continue with the narrative to keep us enslaved in our mind with the slavery and the oppression and the racism. We've been marching for 60 damn years to reach the mountaintop, and we haven't made it yet. And who's standing in their way? The people who are dragging them back. Enslaved in the mind. of some of this craziness. As 11th bus of migrants arrives at LA considering criminal charges against Texas. They voted 13-0. They're going to investigate Texas. All right. LA has received 435 migrants. Right. They're doing that like in an hour down at the border. Like 435 in an hour. That sounds about right. So, they're going to take civil legal action against the state of Texas, Abbott, or any other entity involved in planning and whatever. Soto Martinez, the competition between these Republican governors about who could be more racist. All right. Okay. You're one of the people caught being racist was a Hispanic council member. So Soto Martinez, you might want to point the camera somewhere else. Moving migrants from high concentrations to lower concentrations makes sense. These people who come in here from Russia, Cuba, wherever, Cameroon, all right? They're not crossing Texas border. They're crossing the border of the United States. And like Abbott said, hey, LA said you're a sanctuary city, so here's some people to sanctuary. Texas' small border towns remain overwhelmed and overrun by thousands of people crossing in to Texas from Mexico. Thousands. And you've sent 435 to LA? The council also approved, LA council, they shouldn't be allowed to approve a fucking cheeseburger. They're calling upon Gascon, Bonta, and Merrick Garland. Look at that. In California, the heavyweights of the Justice Department, all going to get, what's Texas doing? How can we show up Texas? Why don't you just take care of the migrants? You say that's what you're going to do. De Leon said Abbott has no incentive at all whatsoever to stop doing what he's actually doing. Well, of course he doesn't, dickhead. He's got too many migrants, and he needs to spread them out so that they can be cared for and properly processed. Maybe actually check for bad diseases, but no, we're just going to take them in. But of course, De Leon says LA has and will accept immigrants and take care of them. That's why they're being sent to you, you fucking moron. And he says, hey, it's, this has been exasperated by the leaders in D.C. But again, immigration reform, that's what they want. No, it's not that. Bass chimed in. We hear about these buses headed our way. I doubt she told when they're on their way. You know what, Bass? Sometimes they haven't had enough food, barely enough water. We don't know what condition they're in. What do you fucking think Texas is dealing with then? Huh? Pull your head out of your ass. If Biden is going to open the floodgates, and they literally have open portions of the wall more, if they're going to do that, then it needs to be spread out. Nikki Haley unveils campaign slogan, I'm a woman. Look at that pivot. Nikki Haley doubles down on promises, said special ops to eliminate drug cartels. Wow. I wish somebody would. Why not? Why not? Like she said, China knows exactly what they're doing when they're sending that fentanyl across the border. And we need to tell them, we will stop all normal trade relations with you until you stop killing Americans. I've said that on this show. We have to take it to the source. And it's the cartels, and they should be treated like terrorists. I see nothing wrong with this. If Mexico won't deal with it, I'll make sure I deal with it. I like that idea. We are trying to help them, but maybe it's time to do it ourselves. But of course, they attack her. I cannot pronounce that name. This is from the Daily Caller. Really sorry. Deb, I am not even going to try to massacre it. I'm sorry. If you could tell me it, I would repeat it several times, try to learn it, but I can't pronounce it. That's immaterial, dude. All right. So the media attacks Nikki Haley for being what they fear most, a smart conservative woman of color. What? Yeah. She is Indian. That's what she is. But what do the Democrats want to diminish her? They say they're for women of color, and yet a woman of color comes by and they just want to, go after her. That's fine. One of them, one CNN commentator described her as a white governor from the Deep South. You see that? See how they turn it around? You know what? Yeah, this one from The Blaze, Daniel Horowitz. I wonder if he's David Horowitz's son. Yeah, he was a big consumer product safety guy back in the day, David Horowitz. Electric vehicles are catching on frickin' fire after the hurricane back east. These things can just spontaneously combust and are very difficult to put out. Put it this way. If you are charging your car in your garage and your car bursts into flames, nothing in your house is going to put it out. A fire extinguisher will not work. Water will not work. There was recently a car fire, and I think it worked out to 9,000 gallons of water were taken to put this fire out. How are you going to deliver that in your home? It's a chemical reaction. It does not need to even have oxygen. That's the crazy part. But what about the wear and tear? I brought this up on the roads, but look what's going on over in the UK. They are going to have higher load bearing for concrete floors to be able to hold more, because these cars weigh more. I mean, the battery on an electric truck weighs as much as an entire Corolla right now. So you're going to have a truck with all of its body weight and then a giant fucking other car pushed underneath it as a battery. And if that battery gets cracked, they go up in flames. I mean, that in 2022, they had 12 electrical vehicle fires because they got breached in the flood, the salt water. It allowed... But it's the same thing with golf carts, electric scooters. Do not drive these through water. They're literally saying, don't take your golf carts and your electric scooters through water. That is too dangerous of a product. That is way too dangerous of a product. You can't put it out. Kids are going to throw their little electric scooters around. They crack it when it's at home. You're going to have a fire. These things will increase because as demand increase, there are going to be cheaper and cheaper versions of the cars and the scooters on the market. Just real quick, I want to wrap this thing up. California Dems led committee advances bill to let killers serving life without parole request resentencing. And this guy, the guy who introduced the bill, Dave Cortez, right, a Democrat, he was thrilled that these key bills of mine passed. Key bills? You're going to let killers out of jail. That's your end result. You are going to be proud that some fucker who snuffed out a 16-year-old girl's life after brutally raping her, he gets to go on with his life, hopefully. Oh, maybe some of these people could get 25 years and then time served and they can be on the streets. Yeah. We're going to put killers back on the streets. Yes. This is one of the things about the Democratic Party that always blew my mind. That they're like, kill the babies, save the killers. I never got that. That was the first thing that made me uncomfortable about the Democrats. I support abortion, but I certainly support the death penalty. All right? So you can have abortions, you can have the death penalty. Gavin Newsom, despite California voters, remember, he put a moratorium on them. Now they want to resentence them. Oh, they're going to this is going to be awesome, man. Oh, their victims will never get to live another day of their lives, but these people will. And we're going to support them because they're going to be too old to get jobs. Oh, it's awesome. Meanwhile, in Texas, drunk drivers will have to pay child support if they kill a parent or a guardian. What the fuck? House Bill 393. Those convicted of intoxication, manslaughter must pay restitution. And they will be expected to make those payments until the child is 18 or the child graduates from high school, whichever is later. That's child support laws, folks. Intoxication manslaughter is defined by state law as a person operating a motor vehicle in a public place, operates an aircraft, a watercraft, or an amusement ride, or assembles a mobile amusement ride, and is intoxicated, and by reason of that intoxication causes the death of another by accident or mistake. This is how you clean shit up. This will ruin your life, whether you're rich or poor. This will cut down on drunk driving because, shit, if you kill somebody, they're going to hold you responsible. If that person you run over has several young kids, you're going to be paying. You're going to be paying. And you know what? They're just going to dock your pay. So good luck. But this is how you aim at a problem, drunk driving, and the effects of drunk driving, which oftentimes do involve people dying, and the driver getting away with basically a slap on the wrist right there. You know? But now they're going to be financially on the hook. That stupid ass white boy with his rich dad, he fucking runs somebody over. Well, they're paying. And that's how you make laws work. Meanwhile, north of Richmond, DC corruption. This is what I worry about. This is why purple needs to exist in this country now. Because we need to root out. We need somebody who can root out on both sides the corrupt politicians who are screwing us over. You prop up an energy company. All your people invest in the energy company. And then when it inevitably fails, you know it first. So all your people get out and make maximum money and screw everybody else. The puppet master. This is what I was talking about earlier. I don't know if this is true, but no. Michelle Obama in 2024, please no. Please. I mean, no. But this is the government the founders warned us about. When we were 13, I spent my entire life knowing about the American Revolution and the details and what led up to it and all of that. And it's always been a part of me. I've walked the battlefields. I've been where our founding fathers fought, where a lot of brave men and women died. And they did it so that the government wouldn't rule them like a king. And right now, we are allowing leaders on both sides of the fence to rule us like they are kings. Purple State is about the people, but not in a stupid communist way, man. We have the framework of a great nation here. But we're flushing it down the toilet because we've turned politics into an identity badge. We can't compromise because the extremes. Fuck the extremes. Fuck them hard. Let's leave those extremists out on the fringes floating in a life raft and a few bottles of water. And let them just wander off and slowly die in the distance. This country was founded in the middle. This country was founded on compromise. And this country has stood up to its faults and fixed them. Nowadays, our politicians just figure out who to blame. And the situation festers and festers and festers. And I'm fucking sick of it. I'm Kid Copious. I'm Purple State Party. And so are you. Love one another. You know, keep your head up, man. Every fight is winnable. Dance it out.